Hey everyone, so this video is going to be a bit of an informational video on epilepsy in gerbils. Now, I'm not 150% positive that this is what it was, but I'm like 95% sure that Matilda actually had a seizure last night, which was very odd and unexpected due to her age. She showed all of the symptoms, and it was just probably the scariest thing that I've ever had to deal with, and I honestly was very, very upset. And thank you to all of my friends on the collab channel. You guys know who all of my collab friends are, and if not, go subscribe to them, but they were just so wonderful last night helping me through this. So let's just get to this video. So basically, epileptic seizures are related disorders of the nervous system, but they don't have to be necessarily nervous system. They're also mainly, they are genetic. So basically, it's due to a deficiency in a brain enzyme, which is called the cerebral glutamine synthetase, which is basically classified as a spontaneous epileptic form of seizures. So usually they don't cause any permanent harm, but 20 to 40% of gerbils develop seizures, which is very, very common. So I feel like this is definitely a topic that people need to read up on. So they usually happen around puberty, which is around 2 to 3 months for gerbils. And they also are very, very common in younger gerbils, but they often fade out around 6 months. So the fact that Matilda is about maybe a year and a half, this was very bizarre. I'm still going to be bringing her and/or talking to my vet just to make sure that it wasn't anything else. So basically some of the signs of the actual seizure, for mild seizures, it's more of a trance-like state. They'll have their ears and whiskers twitching, they'll kind of be laying low to the ground, and they'll be very lethargic looking, and when you pick them up, they'll be limp. If it's a severe seizure, which are less likely, they're full body convulsions, stiff muscles, and can last up to 10 minutes. So some of the causes, the big one is obviously genetics, but some of the actual triggers of it all are stress, handling, mainly improper handling, sudden environment changes. So those are just some of the causes, which again I also don't understand because none of those things recently happened. And the treatment for very, very severe seizures, the treatment is a mild muscle relaxant. But basically the treatment for any other seizure is to wait, which is probably the hardest thing I'll have to do. What I did personally and what I think is a good idea is to check to make sure they are dehydrated or not. But what I did is, because Matilda was so weak, the other two girls were mounting her because they wanted to be boss and she was low and weak, so they tried to take advantage of that, which is harsh, but that's what they do. So what I did is I separated her. I didn't want them stressing her out any more than she already was. She was probably confused, disoriented, and stuff like that. So you want them in a dark and quiet location, and you want to be able to check on them frequently. So I just put her in a 10-gallon tank with the same scent and same bedding that was in her cage, just so that it wasn't overly new and that she could get a break from her sisters, which I think is a good idea. Also, I did feed her a bit of homemade critical care, which Valerie suggested, which is basically just their pellets mixed in with water. I also added some vitamin C tabs that I had, as well as sugar, just so that she might be more willing to take it. And you can also add baby food, and I just mashed up banana and added that. So that's some things that you can do to help them just be more comfortable and calm. I held her for a while, but to be honest, they probably just need to be alone, so that's probably the best thing to do as your treatment. And there is a little thing you can do for prevention. It's nothing much, but basically, if you handle them within the first 3 weeks of their life, this can actually greatly reduce the risk, because in young gerbils, when you start handling them and things, when they're around puberty age, which is, again, 2 to 3 months, it can actually stress them out being held overly much. It can be very stressful if you're taking them home and you start holding. You want to make sure, though, that it was a seizure and not something else, If you don't have experience with this and you're not 100% sure, I really recommend going to vet, which is what I'm doing. The reason I didn't was because it was 10:30 at night. I called the emergency vet, but no one really, no exotic veterinarians were on call that night, so there was really nothing I could do at that point in time, and she's really so much better right now. She's been on her wheel, she's been digging and making nests, so she's doing a lot better. They should heal within a day, and if they don't, you need to take your gerbil to a vet, because you need to make sure that it isn't a stroke, which another symptom of strokes would be weakness or paralysis on one side of their body a bit more than the other. And you also want to be really careful of seizures disease. Make sure, because the symptoms for strokes and seizures and seizures disease and other similar diseases are all relatively similar, and you need to make sure that it isn't something more important. So definitely bringing them to a vet after their first seizure, or after some episode like this happens. I really recommend bringing them to a vet and asking their opinion. So that's just basically what I've researched on epilepsy in gerbils. I'm not saying necessarily she had epilepsy, just because her age is very odd, and the conditions she was under were very odd. So I'm not going to just let this pass by without any extra research. So please look into epilepsy in gerbils, watch a lot of videos, do some research on other diseases. So as you guys can see, Matilda is out and about. She's been running on her wheel. She's been acting significantly better. So I have Natalia here. Basically, you want to pinch the skin, and you can this is really difficult with her, but you pinch the skin, and if it takes too long to drop back down, then they're dehydrated. And if the skin snaps back to their body, then they're not so dehydrated. And you can do the same thing on people. I'm like always dehydrated, so I'll just show you on me. You basically can pinch the skin of their neck, pinch, hold, and see, I'm dehydrated. My skin took a long amount of time to go back down, and if it snaps back down to their neck relatively quickly, then they aren't dehydrated. So definitely, if they're having issues hydrating, keeping them warm is very important. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and share if you think this was helpful to you, and other gerbil owners might also find it helpful. The thing is there isn't a lot of information on gerbils. They don't have overly specified diets. They're pretty basic to care for animals. But they do have a lot of diseases and issues that can come up. They're very hardy, but again, I think we just, as gerbil owners or as pet owners, we need to know of these. So thank you guys so much for watching and bearing with me, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful. And have a great day, everyone.